Welcome to the episode 36 summary of the Reading Finnegans Wake in 200 Sessions podcast, where we analyze Finnegans Wake by James Joyce 3 pages at a time. Hey, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment to support us. It really helps. Okay, today we're taking on a book that many people call unreadable. James Joyce's Finnegans Wake. It's a literary puzzle box, right? It's baffled readers for almost a century. But what if there's a key? We think we've actually found one, and it's hidden in just 5 specific pages. Our goal today is to use that key and unlock a tiny piece of this famously difficult text. You know, Joyce himself basically throws down the gauntlet right in the text. He describes the symbol as the meant-to-be-baffling Chrismon Trelathon sign. He's not just telling us it's difficult, he's practically daring us to figure it out. That one word, baffling, isn't a warning sign, it's an invitation. And that's our way in. So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to examine the crime scene, so to speak, the baffling manuscript itself. Then we'll reveal the master key, and it's a pretty surprising connection to the ancient Book of Kells. From there, we'll zoom right in on the evidence, letters that have their own personalities, and words that are just packed with secret puns. And finally, we'll ask the big question, who on earth was this all for? Okay, let's start with a section that isn't really a story in the way we think of one. Instead, what we get is this incredibly detailed, almost forensic analysis of a letter that was supposedly dug up from a trash heap. The big question is, what is Joyce really describing here? The text just zooms in on things like indignant whiplashes and blocked rounds. It's completely obsessed with the physical marks on the page. It's analyzing not what's being said, but the calligraphy itself. So here's our first clue. We aren't reading a story. We're reading a description of an object. So if this is all just a really strange description of handwriting, how do we unlock it? Well, it turns out the master key isn't some modern code book. It's another famous and famously beautiful Irish text that's over 1,000 years old. And here it is, the big reveal. This entire section is a parody. Yep, a joke. Joyce is meticulously mimicking the very academic, art history-style language that Sir Edward Sullivan used in his 1914 book about the famous Book of Kells. It's an incredibly specific, high-level literary inside joke. And you can see the parody in action right here. It's pretty amazing. On the left, you have Sullivan describing the Book of Kells, with phrases like baffling intricacy and serpentine forms. And on the right, Joyce echoes him almost perfectly, describing his fictional letter with indignant whiplashes and a strange, exotic serpentine. Once you see it, the parallel is just unmistakable. Now, this whole joke only works if you know what the Book of Kells is. It's one of Ireland's absolute national treasures, a medieval gospel manuscript that's famous for its incredibly ornate Celtic art. Joyce even explicitly mentions one of its most famous pages, the Tunc use page, just to make sure we get the hint. It's the perfect target for his game of layered meanings. Okay, now let's see how this whole parody thing works on a micro level. For Joyce, the letters on the page aren't just symbols for sounds. Oh no, they are living, breathing characters with their own distinct personalities. Let's take the letter F, for example. It's described as a fretful fidget F. It doesn't just sit there on the page. It stalks all over the page, it broods, sensation-seeking an idea, and it moves around with a frown, jerking to and fro. It's basically a moody, restless protagonist in the drama of the page. And Joyce's sense of humor really shines through here. He looks at the letter M and complains about its far-too-manyness, as if having 3 downstrokes is just, excessive. He even mentions that in his own notebooks, his M's sometimes had 4 legs. He's turning the simple act of writing into pure comedy. And the cast just keeps growing. We've got these pretentious Greek E's that look like sick owls. There's the letter G, which seems to be angrily kneeling. The W sits on the page with flop right down determination. And then there's the aggressive R, whose very sound is connected to war. Every single letter is its own little piece of theater. But wait, it goes even deeper. The letters don't just have personalities. The words themselves are packed with multiple meanings. It's like an archaeological dig site. Every single phrase contains layers of history, puns, and secret codes. Let's take that phrase for the warlike R again. Ars all bellical. On one level, it's a pun on the Latin for the art of war, ars bellica. But it also pretty clearly sounds like ars, the body part, and it sounds like are all biblical. So you've got the high-minded, the lowbrow, and the sacred all packed into 3 little words. This is Joyce's signature move. Hey, remember that baffling sign from the very beginning? Well, this is the decoding ring. Joyce used these unique symbols he called Sigla as a kind of shorthand for his main characters. That baffling sign, a rotated E, represents Humphrey Chimpton Earwicker, the dreaming father figure at the very center of the book. It's not just some random shape, it's basically his personal logo. And the codes just keep coming. Mind Your P's and Q's isn't just about good manners. It refers to old printing presses, pub talk, and even linguistics. Fun for All mashes up funeral and fun for all. Even numbers like 1132 point to really crucial moments in Irish history. And Calligraphy, which means bad writing, is also a pun on the disgusting ink ingredients used by Shem the penman, the book's rebellious artist figure. It's endless.
So this all leads to the really big question. Why? I mean, why write a book that is so dense, so layered, so difficult? What was Joyce's goal with all this, and who did he honestly think would ever have the patience to read it?
Well, Joyce gives us the answer himself. He said he wrote the book for an ideal reader suffering from an ideal insomnia. He literally envisioned someone with infinite time and energy, someone who would dedicate their entire life to peeling back all these layers. He didn't just want the book to be read. He wanted it to be inhabited, explored, and endlessly puzzled over.
So, what have we actually learned from our deep dive into just these few pages? First, the text is a parody, a huge joke about academic obsession. Second, calligraphy becomes character. The shapes on the page have lives of their own. Third, language is like archaeology. It's meant to be excavated. And finally, the whole thing acts as a dumb show, a visual, symbolic object that shows you a lot more than it tells you.
And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Finnegans Wake was designed to be a puzzle that has no single solution. It invites a nearly infinite number of interpretations. So it really makes you wonder, when a text is built like this, who is really creating the meaning? Is it the author who wrote the words, or is it the reader who spends a lifetime trying to figure them all out?